Generally, I like to show you books and games from books. Today, I will show you a game from Chess-Base magazine. Chess-Base magazine is not printed on paper. Why? Because Chess-Base magazine, for example, this issue 222, so this is Chess-Base magazine 222, has something like more than 4,000 games. Of these 4,000 games, because they come from the Olympiad in Budapest in 2024, some are commented, annotated by the players there. In this case, the game I want to show you is Wesley So against Pragg Ramesh Babu. It was played on September 21, 2024. The annotations are by Wesley So. Wesley So begins the game with e4, okay? And he says, this game was played in the 10th round when we were one match win behind the leaders, India. We were on the ropes because even if we beat them, we would still be behind on tie breaks. But we were very thrilled to be able to compete against the leaders of the tournament who had dominated all throughout the event. And if a miracle happened and we actually won, we might even have an outside chance for gold. Pragg played e5. And here it says, I also prepared for the French as Pragg played it the day before against Sindarov, and he regularly plays it. It's a good opening, but I figure it go for the more solid one, e5. So that's interesting. As we can see, Wesley So is thinking that Pragg he will play e5. Okay, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop c4. Our team coach, GM Mikhail Antipov, is an expert in the Italian and has a practically encyclopedic knowledge of it. Normally then, it was a big topic during our team meetings, and several of our players employed the bishop c4 during the tournament. I myself also have some understanding of it. Playing it frequently, especially online with both colors. Okay, that's interesting. This is the part that I find interesting, and that's why I like in reality magazines or books, because players generally share their thinking, right? They share their thinking, and that's kind of important. And another thing I like to say is that practically in this Chess-Base magazine 222 there are at least 25 games annotated by players, so probably Chess-Base paid for these players to have their games annotated. How did Pragg continue? He continued with bishop c5. It seems that he says Wesley So won a decent game with white against Grandmaster Naidish after 3 knight f6 in round 3. So it's possible probably that I can find also that game later to show you guys. With that said, let's continue. After bishop c5, how did white continue? With castle. A month earlier in the Cinque Cup I had this against Pragg with opposite colors, and he played 4c3. So they played a game and Pragg was white, and Pragg played c3 instead of castling. As you can see, this is in my opinion the interesting thing of this new millennia, the fact that chess player, this professional chess player like Wesley So, Pragnanda, Gukesh, they continue to play all year long, so it's much harder, in my opinion, than in Fischer time, in a sense, because they really play online a lot, and so their preparation must really be up to date continuously, and so I don't know how much they can love it, because it's really a big job, right? It's a big job. Okay, knight f6 is the next move, d3, d6, c3, a6, and now there is a4 and bishop a7. And here it says, Pragg likes this setup, but normally I prepare as well for other possibilities. For example, f5 here on the previous move with also large fury. Okay, wow. So imagine also how comprehensive is the preparation, the opening preparation of Wesley So. Very incredible. Knight b d2. I thought he'd be very well prepared against 8 bishop, maybe bishop g5. Unfortunately here there is only bishop 5, and so I cannot understand which one is this move. It seems there are some characters. I'm sorry guys, it looks like my fault, but I want to show you, maybe if I can, maybe I can show you, so let me show you here. I don't know if I can. No, I think it's really difficult to see. As you can see, there are some like 8 rook 1 or 8 bishop 5. Unfortunately, something is missing there, okay? So it's not my fault if I cannot give you the correct reading of this, okay? Sorry. Maybe they need to improve it. Okay. So after this bishop a7, he played knight b d2, and he says bishop 5. I think it's bishop g5, but I don't know the theory of Italian. However, he says, I thought he'd be well prepared against maybe bishop g5, considering he played it a few times with white, and also round 6 against Lecco. Michael told me to play an early knight d2. So the coach of the open team said to play this move. But I have no understanding of why it's more accurate than 8 rook 1. And here rook 1, probably rook e1. Okay, but here it's missing, I don't know why. That's quite interesting, eh? That's quite interesting. So the captain says play this one, but Wesley So, a player that I think he was at 2800, doesn't have any idea why he's playing that and not the other one. It's okay. Okay, so castle, right? Let's see if we are doing everything right. h3, and now bishop e6. As you can see here in the comments, it's terrible because they are clearly missing a lot. So I think they are saying rook e8, I hope, followed by bishop e6. But unfortunately, from here I cannot understand. Okay, it seems that I don't know if he's able to remember all this stuff, Wesley So, but that's kind of interesting because he says in the Sinquefield Cup, Pragg played knight h6. So that's, sorry, not knight h6, he played h6, then he followed with rook e1 and queen e7. So very interesting. Okay, bishop e6. Obviously white takes, so bishop takes e6, f takes e6, and now there is b4. So kind of interesting, right? Obviously black, thanks to that f takes e6, is control the center, and so white attack on the side. No? And here, in fact, there is a comment. It says, in return for the double pawns, black gets an open file and a quick activity. As Grishok once said, black simply has to attack on the king side in this position. Okay, so the plans are attack on the king side for black and the queen side for white. That's really interesting. And now, however, we can see one thing. It seems that Wesley So plays this line quite often because he says, Kramer played against me h6 in Dusseldorf last year, in which he won very easily with black. Okay, but the point here is another, in my opinion. You know why? Because look, when he said that he didn't know why, for example, playing rook e8, you know why? Because now black is playing queen e8 after before. So why is this important? Because if you don't leave the square for the queen, you cannot really go to attack on the king side. However, let's watch for a second, since we can, what Kramer did the year before. So he played h6, rook e1 was continued by Wesley So, knight e7, and here he says he continued with knight f1, knight g6, and here there is knight 1 h2 with an exclamation point which says this is a very good move. And here it says, was one of the tips Kramer told me after our game with the idea of g3 and king g2. Again, the g is missing after the king. To secure the king side and limit his knights. Okay, now let's return back to the position as we were before. And it was like this, I think. Let's see if everything is correct. Yep. And instead of h6, black plays queen e8. Now the interesting part is this. We don't know the Pragg side of this game. I don't know if he commented it, because for sure he knew Kramer, right? Because it was played a year before, this h6, and if he win, Kramer wins, you would do the same thing, but probably he was afraid of white's preparation against it, right? So that's the interesting part, in my opinion. Okay, what do you think white is going to play right now? Because again, I think it's interesting also to try to use our brains and see how you would continue in this position. Wesley So continue with rook a2, and he said, this is always a good move, as Levon Aronian told me. It protects the second rank, and now b5 is also possible. So he's thinking to play this. Interesting. Okay, so if he says so. Okay, so let's see how we continue. Instead he says that rook e1 is good for black, and this is the reason. Rook e1, knight h5, knight f1, and queen g6. And here it says it's good for black as it's very quick on the king side. So now you know. Let's go back. And strange, because honestly, yeah, this maneuver, rook e1, knight f1, is one of the typical maneuvers in the Italian game played by white. But as you can see, it's you need to know what you're doing, because you cannot blindly follow some ideas and expect that they work. Okay, after rook a2, black plays knight h5. And he says that this was a possible alternative, queen g6, okay? So knight h5. And he continues with knight c4. Knight c4 and knight f4. Wow. And here there is finally b5. By the way, there is a comment that says instead of knight f4, if black played this move, it seems that knight e3 followed by knight g4 probably, or g3 is pleasant for white. Okay, so this is Wesley So opinion regarding it. Let's go back to the position we were in, where black just played knight f4, and let's see what happens. Okay, after this there is b5, and it seems that that Wesley So train of thought was that in the beginning he wanted to play something like this, but he was afraid obviously of this queen h5 threatening knight takes h3. Okay, so that's he played b5, and now black has a good move. Why it's a good move? Because generally we don't like to go back, but when a knight goes back, he can go somewhere else. In this case he played knight b8, and the idea is obviously that he can go d7 and b6. So it's kind of or protect b6, you know, the idea is protection also. So that's why knight b8 is interesting. The problem is that this rook seems kind of out, right? Okay, here it shows that if he played knight e7, he would play b6. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. Okay, so knight b8, king h2. And here, can you imagine, for this move, king h2, Wesley So spent 25 minutes. But he said he didn't find anything more convincing. His first thing was to play b6. But he didn't think it was good, because after bishop takes b6, rook b2. Sorry. Rook b2, there is, he said, let's see what there is, knight d7, a5, bishop a7, and bishop takes f4, to which follows rook takes f4, and rook takes b7, to which follows queen c8, rook b4, and h6. And here the line given by Wesley So ends, and his evaluation is the following. He says, with a strong dark square bishop, I didn't think black has problems here. So this is the evaluation by Wesley So. Now, it would be interesting to know if he really saw 5 moves ahead, because that's a long sight. And however, it's possible, because he said that he spent like 25 minutes on this move. Okay, I see that we reach a 20 minutes video. I know that some of you guys maybe don't have all the time, and so I will pause the video here, stop the video here, and continue on a new video, because probably this game is kind of long. Yeah, I see that it reached more than 41 moves. So yeah, I think it's better to have the second part on another video. So this is Chess-Based Magazine 222, the game Wesley So against Pragnanda Ramesh Babu. Played at the Olympiad. It was won by Wesley So, and we will see the rest of the game in the next video.